Let's learn a little about Bob Ross while we get ready for the day. Bob Ross was born in Daytona Beach, Florida, on October 29th, 1942. His father was a carpenter. As a child, Bob always felt more at home in the workshop than he did in a classroom. Ross never shared too many details about his early years, but he did drop out of school in the 9th grade. It is believed that he then worked as his father's assistant. An accident in the shop cost him the tip of his left index finger. He seems to have been self-conscious about the injury, and in later years he would position his paint palette in such a way to cover the finger. At the age of 18, Bob Ross joined the U.S. Air Force, and he spent 20 years in the military, stationed near Fairbanks, Alaska, and eventually became Master Sergeant, which led to a problem he had. He was always screaming and having to be the mean, tough person, and he was fed up with it. And he promised that if he ever got away from it, it was never going to be that way anymore. Feeling that his job ran against his natural temperament, he swore that if he ever left the military, he'd never shout again. To lift some of the strain he was under and to make a little extra money, Bob Ross took up painting. While residing in Alaska, Ross could hardly have chosen a better place to start painting landscapes. The area around Fairbanks features mountain lakes and pristine forests full of snowy trees. These landscapes inspired Ross throughout his career, even after he moved back to Florida. While Bob was teaching himself to paint, and to do it quickly so that he could finish a painting in a 30-minute period, he found a teacher who would teach him what became his trademark style. William Alexander was a former German prisoner of war who moved to America after his release at the end of World War II and took up painting for a living. Late in life, Alexander claimed to have invented the style that he taught Ross, popularly known as wet on wet, but it was actually a refinement of a style that was used by Monet. His technique involved rapidly painting layers of oil over each other without waiting for the picture elements to dry. To a busy man like Master Sergeant Bob Ross, this method was perfect, and the landscapes that Alexander painted perfectly matched his preferred subject matter. Bob had eventually traveled to meet and learn from him in 1981. After a short time, Ross decided he'd found his calling and retired from the Air Force to paint and teach full-time. Bob's early years as a painter did not pay him very well, and it's according to his business manager that his famous hairdo was a result of his money problems. So he got the bright idea that he could save money on haircuts, so he let his hair grow, he got a perm, and decided he would never need a haircut again.